What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Godzilla x Kong, the New Empire Playmates review. Now, this is the other big spoiler review that I am going to be doing. Obviously, the first one I did was the regular Shimo, just the 6-inch figure, and this is, of course, the other playset that Shimo is in, Godzilla vs. Shimo. Now, this is, of course, one of two playsets. I've obviously done the other one, Kong vs. Skar King, quite a while back, and obviously I'm putting out this one after the movie's been out. So by the time you're watching this, it is probably sometime in April. This review is most likely coming out right after the 6-inch Shimo, just that regular Shimo figure. And obviously, it's no secret that Legendary is horrible at keeping their secrets. I've been trying to keep this character under wraps just in case there were people who were tuning into my channel to watch these reviews and they don't want to get spoiled. So obviously, if you missed the Kong vs. Skar King review, you can click the link up here in the corner by the info screen, or click on the end screen by the end of this video, or the links in the description down below. That is how you can get caught up if you did not see the Kong vs. Skar King set. So today, we'll be looking at the other one. This is, of course, Godzilla vs. Shimo. Now, keep in mind, I am doing this video in February. You may be watching this in April, but I am filming this in February before the movie has even released. Bear in mind, I am filming this without any knowledge of what happens in the movie. I have not seen it yet at this point. So some of the stuff I say here could be wrong. For one, I'm going to be addressing Shimo as a he. I know the internet is debating if Shimo is a guy or a girl. Some want Shimo to be a girl. Some people want to be a guy. I personally don't care as long as Shimo is an absolute badass in the movie. I want to see Shimo do bits and actually just be a menacing creature against Godzilla and Kong. For the sake of this review, just so I don't keep fumbling, I'm going to be addressing Shimo as a he, and I've done that with the regular Shimo as well. If Shimo ends up being a girl, my bad. There we go. We got that out of the way. Sick. Let's get on with this review, shall we? Let's start off by taking a look at the box. So, Godzilla with the render art on here versus Shimo. And this is how people like us were able to see kind of what Shimo will look like in the movie. Obviously, this is a render. This is not what he'll actually look like in the movie, but we have an idea of what the realistic look is when he's not in a toy form. And that, unfortunately, you can see the box wasn't really in the best condition that I got in, and if you saw the haul video, you will know why. The store decided to ship this in an envelope, a very thin plastic envelope, so all the corners were bound to be damaged in transit. So yeah, not the best condition, but it's okay. We're here for the contents in this set, so the box doesn't really matter. Here is the bottom, in case you want to take a look. Here is the list of everything included, and of course, the Kong vs. Skar King set, in case you also want to take a look at that, which of course I've reviewed already. Here is one side, and here is the other side, with Godzilla and Shimo blasting their breaths at each other. And one thing I want to reiterate, like I also said in the Kong vs. Skar King review, is that these brand new boxes that they've done for these playsets is so much better than what they've done previously with the Godzilla vs. Kong playsets, where it's a fully covered box. It's kind of like a Lego set. You don't see the contents inside. This is a much better packaging because it's a see-through box. You can see the figures. It just looks so much better, and I think sitting on the toy shelves, this would look so much better. You walk down the aisle and you just see this and you're like, oh my god, Godzilla! It's like, it's so much better doing it like this. So Playmates, if you're gonna continue play sets like this, please stick with the transparent boxes. Here's the back, just a render of Godzilla and Shimo about to fight each other. You got the set list there, in case you want to take a look. And so yeah, that's pretty much the box. In case you missed anything, of course, you can always rewind the video and pause at any point, because we spent quite a long time looking at this box now. So it's about time we open it up and take out Shimo and, of course, the G-Man, Godzilla himself. Let's do it. So the way this thing is packaged is very similar to how they did it with Kong vs. Skar King. So of course the figures, you have them nicely stacked up in this plastic tray, but then it is also covered in this nice cardboard tray. It just looks really good when you see this on the store shelf. They have good packaging designs in mind, and of course these two titans have big tails, so the two tail pieces are at the bottom here. And you know, mixed Kong and Skar can look very small in comparison because these two figures are significantly bigger and require more. And it just looks like they're about to just really go in a big, violent sissy fight. Apart from the figures, we also have the cardboard cutouts. This is what will assemble the cardboard models, and the way they have it is in this plastic bag. The instruction book, or instruction sheets I should say, shows you the tail assemblies for both Shimo and Godzilla. And then of course, these are all the pieces, and it shows you how to construct these all together. Personally speaking, I find these very confusing. It's not clear enough. Let's take a look at these. These are the pieces themselves, of course. Not as much as the City Battle set and the Hollow Earth Battle set, because obviously those are much bigger sets. They have a lot of components to them. There is almost up to 30, 40 pieces of cardboard. Here, not that much. These are much simplified sets. That is everything. That is the cardboard, but of course, let's take out the figures first, and then I'll get right to building. Assembly done. Now this was actually more challenging than the Kong vs. Skar King set. Godzilla and Shimo are both figures that require a lot of strength to put the tail together, and I had to use the hairdryer to warm them up before the tails would actually go in and stick. And the papercraft cardboard models themselves were quite easy to assemble. They were actually more easier than the Kong vs. Skar King set. They literally they didn't take long, like a minute each piece. The crystals took like 30 seconds each. Why don't we dive right in? Let's take a look at the cardboard models, and of course, we'll look at Godzilla and Shimo. Let's do it. Right off the get-go, this is so impressive. I love this. This is the cardboard model. This is the main model. This is like a rib cage of a fallen titan or something. Or maybe it's like a cave with bones, so it looks like a ribcage cave. I don't know. Either way, this looks sick. Whoever came up with this design needs to get a raise, because this already beats the Kong vs. Skar King cardboard models. You can split this into two, obviously, if you want more space in between, but they match up perfectly. They just line up and attach here like this, and it just looks perfecto. You have three pieces, pretty much. You have the base piece, which you just fold up and attach it with one connection point, and that already makes the first rib cage, the first rib, and then you attach two additional pieces onto it, and that's it. The assembly process is so easy and so quick, takes no time at all to do, and it looks spectacular. I think there's no need for a big fancy model all the time. Don't get me wrong, the Hollow Earth Battle set had some great models, but the main con is that they took too long to build. I spent almost an hour building that cardboard set. Here, 20 seconds max each piece. These were quick, simple. I just attached the pieces, punch them out of the sheets, attach them all, done. And it looks even better than some of the other models we've gotten. For a cardboard, you can only do so much, but they were able to keep it simple, but also have a look spectacular here. I think this is definitely worth keeping up on the shelf for, as an environmental display feature. It just looks great visually. Space-wise, you can't really fit a lot in there. Like, I take Shimo, he can sort of fit, but it's just enough space for one Titan. Oh, this actually looks pretty sick. As you can see, space is very limited, so I guess that's why they give you the option to space it out if you want. Space out them two models, have them. It gives you the option to imagine your own space, but obviously, there's no additional pieces in between. So you want a full, complete scene. Of course, you want to attach them together like this. But either way, this is spectacular, and I'm curious to see what you guys think, because from all the playsets we've gotten from Playmates, which all include cardboard cutouts, this has been my absolute favorite. That's for sure. But it's not just the ribcage. There's also the crystals. Let's take a look at that. All right, these are the crystals that are included. Again, just like the Kong vs. Skar King set, there's only 2 crystals, so 1 each. One is like, you get, I don't know how to describe it in words, but you slip it behind, and then, it not only stands up the model, but it actually gives it some 3D texture look, and it actually looks pretty decent. Now, the Kong vs. Skar King set had purple crystals. This color is more of on like the turquoise side. And I think this one looks better because it kind of matches what's going on here. Shimo being like a frost creature. This feels like more on the frosty side. Whereas in the Kong vs. Skar King set, you had the purple crystals, which kind of clashed with like the lava theme that was going on in that set. Next crystal here, not particularly my favorite. It's the same design going on with the Kong vs. Skar King set, where you, instead of having these two sticking out, you have the middle part sticking out. And this is just inserted like this. Color wise, these 2 crystals already look a lot more better. I think I'd rather go with this beige color. But other than that, these are the crystals. Very nice. All right, let's take a look at the figures. Starting off with my boy Godzilla. Now, let's get this out of the way. This is the exact same figure as the regular 6-inch Godzilla Evolved figure. Boom, same mold, everything, meaning same poses and the same articulation and the same problems, unfortunately. If you haven't seen my review of the Godzilla Evolved figure here, let's just say I wasn't too keen on this figure. I just wished it was a lot better. This figure lacked in unity of colors. That was something I was very vocal about, and let me give you a quick recap what I mean. So you have the middle part of his dorsal plates here where it's completely transparent pink, which looks fantastic. It looks good. Who doesn't like transparent colors? Unfortunately, it just cuts off right here, right where the tail is, and it just becomes this fade of pink that goes out throughout the rest of the tail. And the same problem persists here by the head, where if the camera can come in focus, you can see it just cuts off like that, and it just goes into shades of pink. There is no unity going on, and therefore the pink feels inconsistent. You just have one middle bit. That's it. Also, might I mention, this is a completely new Godzilla mold compared to the other 6-inch ones, because this is a skinnier Godzilla. My boy be hitting the gym. And it looks like apart from being pink as his evolution, he is also going to be a lot skinnier. The problems that happened with that figure is also here with this figure. This is of course exclusive to this set only because of the exclusive colors in front, which is shades of blue. I personally think the blue looks awesome on him. I guess it's like the effect of him fighting Shimo. Shimo's probably hitting him with the frostbite, and so he's, feeling the effects of it, so it's kind of freezing him up. And I think it's illustrated quite well. It looks fantastic with the overall theme of this particular figure. Now, of course, the same things are here. He's skinnier, same articulation, and unfortunately, the same problem is happening with the pink. Same problem. You get the transparent dorsal plates in the middle, then it just cuts off at the tail all the way to the end, and same with the head. However, the blue at the front is the selling point of the figure, and honestly speaking, that is the redeeming quality. That what makes up this figure. Now, before we take a deeper look in the printings and the colors, let's quickly go over the articulation, just in case you haven't seen the review of the previous Godzilla. Playability is key to any good toy. This and every other figure Playmates has done has great playability. and that comes through the articulation. So we have the tail articulation, which is of course on a ball socket once again. So spun 360 all the way around. It is a bit tight, of course, because of the socket. I will need to warm it up a bit first before it becomes more flexible. And then as for the legs, you can move, of course, move the legs front and back, just like the good old Godzilla would do. And then of course you can swivel the feet. This one is very loose. Maybe it's just this particular figure, but it is very loose, as you can see. And then of course the arms, there you go, make it look like he's running, going on a jog, and that's about it. You cannot move his elbows, none of that. You can move just his arms. And then his head, you can sort of move it, sort of twist it. It's kind of very tight for mine here. And then of course you can open and close the mouth. Now unfortunately, with this particular figure, I don't know, maybe it's just this one, the mouth was really tight. I had to use a little bit of force to really get it open, or else I wouldn't be able to put the heat ray piece in. Obviously his head is quite tiny. I mean, you put him beside Shimo's head, you'll know that Shimo is a lot bigger in terms of head. But Godzilla's a pretty tiny head here. His mouth was very tight, and I had to really use some force to get it opened. So maybe it's just this figure, but that's definitely a problem. I don't know if it's the same with the others. If you buy this set as well, let me know if your Godzilla has the same problem. Back to the colors. It's the same thing with the pink. That's it. You can't really expect much. There's nothing really different. Main difference, of course, the blue shades at the front. And it's just done so well. This actually looks good. I'm quite impressed with it. And it's a mix of not just light blue, there's also a little bit of dark blue as well. And so it starts off at the legs here, right by like the knees, I guess. You get the blue, it starts with this huge dark blue chunk here. Inside is kind of where you see the light blue fade. The blue actually also starts right at the where the tail ends, I guess. The tail starts here. Of course, this is kind of where the tail, the attaching point is. So the blue starts there, continues into a lighter blue throughout, up to his chest. On the side of his chest, so you can see the darker blues and the shades there. And on his arms too, under the arms too, not just on one side, under as well, where the joints are to move the arms. And then of course it goes all the way up here, even on the outside. You can see dark blue out here and dark blue on the thighs as well. The blue is mixed in very, very well. You got dark on the outside, light on the inside. I just think the integration of it is really well. It's clean, it actually feels unified, something that the dorsal plates, I just wish the pink as a whole can accomplish as well. They need something like this. But I like the effect it gives because, you know, it feels like Godzilla's feeling the effects of the frostbite breath. Now there's also that same problem with the other figure, which is of course he has a spike, a dorsal plate on his elbow, which unfortunately isn't pink. Now the giant figure and the battle roar figure does make this pink for the elbow. I'm not sure why the 6-inch one doesn't. And again, that lacks unity. Because it is technically a pink dorsal plate, why not make it pink as well? The blue looks fantastic and I've sang my praises for it. Oh yeah, I should probably mention the blue goes all the way up to his head as well, at the bottom of his neck, all the way up to his jaw. Like, there is a good distribution. Now, the heat ray piece is the same as the other evolved Godzilla. It's the exact same piece. There's no shades of blue, anything. It is still your pink heat ray piece, and of course the idea is you just attach it onto his mouth like this. But unfortunately, because my Godzilla here has a pretty tight mouth, it is actually quite difficult to get the piece attached. This figure as a whole, I would say, is a lot better than the regular 6-inch Godzilla evolved. Even though it suffers the same problems, I am very impressed with the blue, the shades of blue that they've done to make this figure exclusive to the set. That's all I gotta say about this Godzilla figure. Of course, we still have the special guest of this movie, the surprise spoiler monster himself, Shimo. Right off the get-go, I just want to say this very clearly. I like this Shimo a lot better than the regular one. Why? Because the colors, the exclusive colors of this figure is done so well. The blue is all over the figure in the tiniest of spots as well. Let me compare this to the regular one then. Here's the regular one, the regular 6-inch Shimo. What is the major difference? Well, obviously, respects the original colors, a white and a blue color scheme. But if you put these two side by side, which is literally what I'm doing right here, whoever painted this Shimo went all in. Before we take a look at those colors, articulation. Shimo can stand on 2 legs. The front 2 legs can be used as arms. And as you saw the way they were packaged in this set, Shimo was on 2 legs, going toe-to-toe with Godzilla. Tail articulation, also 360 degrees. Obviously, this one did take a bit of effort to put on, but once it's on, you realize the articulation is very flexible here. Articulation also comes with the legs, as I was reiterating, and you can move the back legs forward and backwards, and you can also swivel the legs side to side, but you can only move them front and back. The front legs, you can also open them up like this. You can face them on the outside, fold them in, fold them out. There's good versatility here. And of course, you can swivel the feet or claws, call it what you will. Once Shimo stands on 2 legs, the front legs here become hands or become arms. There's also articulation with the head. You can bob his head up and down, twist it side to side. You can also move it up and twist it side to side. So this looks like Shimo is like about to take a bite out of a tree or something like that. The jaw, unfortunately, this Shimo here, maybe it's just this particular figure. The jaw is very loose. I'm kind of just lightly flicking at it and it's just already opening and shutting. I feel like that's maybe a loose screw inside, but it's okay. It's just a little bit more inconvenient to put the frostbite blast in because I gotta actually keep the mouth tighter, closer shut. As you saw the way he was packaged in this set, they do it like this. So, the great thing about how they designed this figure is once he stands on 2 legs, let's move his head down a little bit. His front legs obviously become arms, which he can use to combat Godzilla with. I let go now. He is not falling over. Clearly, there's more weight to this side because it's just the tail on this end. However, he ain't tipping over. Because of his shape and the way they designed his legs, he is able to have that solid foundation to stand on 2 legs without a sweat. No problem at all. Now, will he actually do this in the movie and how often? Not sure. I feel like he is just mostly going to be on his all fours, which I guess will make more sense. But if he stands on 2 legs, he can then go toe-to-toe with Godzilla here. Shimo is almost as big as Godzilla. His head is bigger than Godzilla's. So this will actually make Shimo quite a credible threat if he's able to stand on 2 legs and pretty much go head-to-head with Godzilla if he does this. That looks like a menacing and threatening Titan. Something Skar King and Kong, I wish, was the same situation. It goes to show there is good flexibility, and I've said the same thing with the regular one. Playability wise, it's very, very good. It just gives a kid who's playing with this so many options. Let's go on to the good stuff about this figure. And boy, do I got a lot to say. Obviously, the colors. Oh boy, the colors are fantastic. Let's start with the tail itself. Now, I praised the tail highly when I reviewed the regular one of the way the blue and white is integrated. Now, with this particular figure, if we flip the tail around, the light blue underneath just adds a whole other level of a wow factor to it. The bottom is not just pure default white, it's light blue, and that just adds a huge dimension to it. You look at Shimo from the back and you can see the underside of the tail, and it just looks very frosty, and I think it looks fantastic for what Shimo is written to be like. Now, my favorite bit is not throughout the main body, it's actually with his dorsal plates here. Now, the regular one, you just have dark blue throughout the entirety of the dorsal plates, just plain old dark blue, which is not a bad thing. You look at this one, and it's mixed in with some light blue, and it's not covering the entire bits. Only small sections of the dorsal plates are light blue. That is genius. It looks good. At the front here, you can see where the light blue really stands out. That looks very nice. And then you get this break of light blue in the middle. I think what they've done here is incredible. Seriously, the colors are blended in so well. It's smart. It really feels like he's an ice creature. Up to his crown or head, hair, I don't know what to exactly call this, but you can see the tips of it is a bit of light blue as well, and it just works so well. And of course, this is where it gets familiar with the regular Shimo. It's just you get white bits throughout here, just, you know, it's the same thing. There's also little bits of light blue on the head. It's kind of hard for the camera to pick it up, but I'm gonna try to get it to focus as much as possible. You can see some of the light blue by the jaw area, and I think it's just very smart of them to do that. Now, unfortunately, the eye is still this blue dot. That doesn't change. It's still the same. But apart from the texture, you can see like that scaly texture you get. The blue just complements it. It adds a whole nother level of just detailing to it. And is it the same thing for the other side? Not so much. Maybe they forgot, but I do wish maybe a little bit on this side as well. A little bit of blue on this side will do the trick. And of course, he has a tongue and yellow teeth. I guess that's a bit of a contrast. I guess that works. The rest of the blue is throughout his main body and the legs. The great thing about the blue is that it doesn't completely cover up the white. It's there to fade in the white, and it just adds dimension to it. I'm gonna keep using that terminology, dimension. The thing about the Skar King that I didn't like in the Skar King versus Kong set is that the gunmetal gray covered a lot of his good white and red blend. This does not do that. You have the light and dark blue just sprinkled onto it, onto the white, and it's actually integrated in with the white really, really well. It doesn't take away the white. He somewhat still looks close to the regular one. But then you just have the blue here, which just elevates him. But not just one type of blue. You can see already from the front and back leg, there's different shades of blue. The back leg here is more on a darker tone side, while the front here follows the rest of the torso, which is the lighter blue blending in with the white. If I flip him on this underside, you can really see all of the blue. The blue is very dominant right by here. I would say this is like his chest area. It just fades out into a lighter color here, all the way towards the tail, and it just continues towards the tail. This is what I mean by unity. This is something the Godzilla needed for the pink. You can have a bit of a dark blue here, and it just fades all the way to the end of the tail, but it's still keeping the same color scheme. You need to do that with the pink with Godzilla, and unfortunately Playmates did not do that, and that's something I so wish was the case because it will look awesome. There's also blue that goes under his neck, under his jaw as well. The blue obviously is all the way around his legs. You can see it's wrapped all the way around, even all the way up to the claws on his toes. Now the back feet, that has not changed. Still white, so that's good. So a bit of a contrast, and that's good. I like that. I don't want the same thing for everything. So it's good to have a 50-50 split here. Out of 10, I'm gonna give this a straight 9 out of 10. One thing I would probably say, maybe fix up the eye a little bit, and you know, just the head area could use a little bit more different colors. But other than that, it's a solid figure. And of course, just a quick look at the Frostbite Blast itself is the exact same one as the regular Shimo. You're not missing out on much. Unfortunately, because my figure here has a pretty loose jaw, I just have to just loosely attach it on there and close the mouth a bit tighter so the piece doesn't actually fall out. And there you go. That is all I gotta say about these two figures. The heart of the set. Playmates has absolutely nailed it with these figures. Let's wrap up this review once and for all. Do I personally think is worth 30 Canadian dollars, because that's how much I paid for this. I think it's fine for what it's worth. It's $15 per figure pretty much, and if you're gonna buy a regular 6-inch figure, you're paying around $20. At least that was the price I found it for. You may encounter the set at a different price. I think the Godzilla and Shimo are much higher quality here in terms of their exclusive colors. The Shimo especially, I think I like this figure way more than the common one. Of course, the common one isn't bad. The regular one here ain't bad, but the colors just speak for themselves. It just highlights Shimo's characteristics a lot better. I just think the colors work. I love the shades. of blue mixed in instead of just that default camel white you get with the common one. Now the Godzilla is actually pretty good too. Going into this, I didn't think much of the Godzilla. I was here for the Shimo, but I would say I was quite impressed with the Godzilla. Unfortunately, this Godzilla still suffers the same problem as the regular one, but they were able to redeem this figure pretty well with the blue up front. Personally speaking, I do think these two figures are a lot better than their common ones, and the cardboard cutouts actually look sick. Overall, this set I think is pretty solid. It's definitely stronger than the Kong vs. Skar King set, at least in my personal opinion. And so out of 10, what would I give this Godzilla vs. Shimo set? I think I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. I see good playability of it, and this will also look good on display. That is it for this review of this playset. Obviously, if you missed the Kong vs. Skar King set, that obviously came out quite a while ago. You're watching this in April, so there's quite a big space between these two playsets. So thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this review, of course, make sure to give it a like, and of course, subscribe to the channel for more with the notification bell. As for now, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye for now.